Hello students, in this video we will cover all the concepts from the chapter Polynomials. What is degree of a polynomial? If you take a polynomial, p of x is equal to x plus 6. Here we have a variable x. So what is the highest power of this variable? It is 1. Degree of a polynomial is nothing but the highest power of a variable. So here the highest power is 1. So the degree of this polynomial is 1. If the degree of a polynomial is 1, this polynomial is known as a linear polynomial. This polynomial is known as a linear polynomial. If you take another polynomial, p of x is equal to x square plus 2x plus 1. Here we have a variable x. The highest power of this variable is what? It is 2. If the highest power of the variable is 2, then the degree of this polynomial is 2. If the degree of a polynomial is 2, it is known as a quadratic polynomial. It is a quadratic polynomial. If you take another polynomial, p of x is equal to x cube plus 2x square plus 3x plus 1. Here the highest power of the variable is what? It is 3. Highest power of the variable is 3. So degree of the polynomial is 3. So it is known as a cubic polynomial. It is a cubic polynomial. What is 0 of a polynomial? If you take a polynomial, quadratic polynomial, p of x is equal to x square minus 2x plus 1. This is a quadratic polynomial. Okay, here in place of x, if you substitute 1, what is the value? It is 1 square minus 2 into 1 plus 1. It is 1 minus 2 plus 1, it is 0. Okay, here the value of this polynomial is 0. The value of this polynomial is 0 when x is equal to 1. So 1 is the 0. 1 is the 0 of the polynomial. If p of k is equal to 0, then k is 0 of this polynomial. Okay. Next one. If you take a linear polynomial, p of x is equal to x plus 1. Okay. Here y is equal to x plus 1. Okay. If you take the values of x as 0. Okay. So what will be the y value? Y value will be 0 plus 1. It is 1. If you take the x value as 1, y value will be what? It is 1 plus 1. It is 2. Okay. If you take the x value as minus 1, what is y value? Minus 1 plus 1. It is 0. Okay. Now we will represent these on a graph. We will represent these values on a graph. If x is 0, y is 1. If x is 0, y is 1. Okay, this is the point. If x is 1, y is 2. If x is 1, y is 2. This is the point. If x is minus 1, y is 0. If x is minus 1, y is 0. This is the point. Okay, let us join these 3 points. Okay, now this line represents a polynomial. This line represents a polynomial. See, a linear polynomial will have a straight line. Either it can be like this or it can be like this. Okay, the linear polynomial will have a straight line. Okay, in first case, in this case, if we talk about this case, how many zeros does this polynomial have? See, this line is not touching the x-axis. This is the x-axis. Is this line touching the x-axis? No. So how many times the line touches the x-axis, that many zeros a polynomial will have. So in the first case, in this case, there are 0 zeros. Okay, there are 0 zeros. So in this case, second case, how many zeros are there? See, this line, this polynomial is touching the x-axis at one point. So it has 1 0. Okay. In this case, in this example, how many zeros does this polynomial has? It has 1 0. Okay, because the polynomial is touching the x-axis at this point. Okay, if we talk about the quadratic polynomial, we get the curves like this. Open U. Okay, it can be upwards or it can be downwards. This is the upwards and this is the downwards. Okay, this is called parabola. See, for example, this is the graph, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So if this curve touches like this, this curve represents a polynomial, how many zeros does this polynomial has? See, it is touching the x-axis at 2 points. Okay, so this polynomial has 2 zeros. Okay, if we take another example, this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. Okay, if we take the curve like this, if the curve is like this, this curve represents a polynomial. How many zeros does this polynomial has? The curve is touching x-axis at 1 point, so it has 1 0. If you take the curve like this, how many zeros does this polynomial has? Okay, this is x-axis. This curve is not touching the x-axis, so it has 0 zeros. Okay, next one. If we talk about the cubic polynomial, the curve will be like this. Okay, the curve will be like this. Now how many zeros does this polynomial has? This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Okay, the curve is touching the x-axis at 3 points. So this polynomial has 3 zeros. Okay, or the curve can be like this. Okay, if this is the curve, this is the polynomial, how many zeros does this polynomial has? See, it is touching the x-axis at 2 points, so it has 2 zeros. Okay, next one. Relationship between zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. If you take a quadratic polynomial, p of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So this is the standard form of a quadratic polynomial. Okay, here a is the coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x and c is the constant term. Okay, if you take an example of a quadratic polynomial, it is 3x square plus 4x plus 1. Okay, here what is a? A is the coefficient of x square. Okay, let us compare this equation with this. Okay, here a is coefficient of x square, it is 3, and b is the coefficient of x, it is 4, and c is the constant term, it is 1. Here sum of zeros of a polynomial is given as, quadratic polynomial is given as minus b by a, and product of the zeros of a quadratic polynomial is given as c by a. Okay, so these are the formulas for sum and product of a quadratic polynomial. Okay, if you substitute these values in these two formulas, we get sum of zeros will be what? Minus of b is 4, minus 4 by 3. Okay, sum of zeros will be minus 4 by 3 and product of zeros will be c by a. C is 1 and a is 3. This way we can get the sum of zeros and product of the zeros. Now we will find the zeros of this polynomial. Polynomial is 3x square plus 4x plus 1. Okay, now 4x can be split as 3x plus x. Okay, Now this can be written as 3x square plus 3x plus x plus 1. Okay. From these two terms we will take 3x common, 3x into x plus 1. Okay. Plus 1 into x plus 1. Here x plus 1 into 3x plus 1. Okay. If you equate x plus 1 to 0, x plus 1 is equal to 0, then you get x is equal to minus 1, and if you equate 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, then you get 3x is equal to minus 1, x is equal to minus 1 by 3. Okay, these two are the zeros of this quadratic equation. Okay, now we will see what is the sum of the zeros. It is minus 1 minus 1 by 3. It is minus 3 minus 1 by 3. It is minus 4 by 3. And product of the zeros is minus 1 into minus 1 by 3. It is 1 by 3. If you see here, sum is minus 4 by 3 and product is 1 by 3. Okay. And we will see few more questions in the next video. Thank you.